finally, what we all have been waiting for and calling for and questioning why it wasn't happening. Stephanie White has stepped up to the plate in defense of Caitlin Clark. I could not believe my ears, guys. I could not believe my ears when I heard this. Stephanie White actually being bold enough to stand on business and protect Caitlin Clark.
A respected WNBA coach just exposed the ugly truth simmering beneath the surface of the league's newfound fame, and it's all centered on the one player they can't afford to lose, Caitlin Clark. What was said in a recent interview wasn't just a defense of a rookie, it was a direct challenge to the powers that run the WNBA, and it reveals a league on the verge of tearing itself apart. This wasn't a loud outburst, but a quiet confession that hit harder than any scandal ever could, exposing the raw, uncomfortable reality of the WNBA's civil war.
And it is Stephanie White talking about Caitlin Clark being brought up in a lot of these conversations in CBA by other people and not her speaking herself. And I think this is a really interesting one. And it's clear from this answer, I've already listened to this, it's very clear from this answer that Stephanie White clearly and Caitlin Clark, there's clearly a level of person, like they clearly really like each other as people.
Indiana Fever's head coach, Stephanie White, didn't go on a wild headline-grabbing rant. Instead, she did something far more devastating. In a calm, measured tone, she delivered a chilling assessment of the situation that was more damaging than any shouting match ever could be. She peeled back the curtain on the league's toxic internal politics and exposed just how deeply the dysfunction runs. White's approach was surgical. She spoke the truth without raising her voice, making her words impossible to dismiss as mere emotion or frustration. It was a calculated move from a league veteran who knew exactly what she was doing.
And what it is, these people are using Caitlin Clark, they're disrespecting,
and then she dropped the bombshell. Her exact words were, "She's a pawn in a lot of other people's games." That single word, pawn, sent shockwaves through the entire WNBA establishment. It was a brutal, honest, and unforgettable description of how the league, its players, and the media are all using Caitlin Clark as a piece in their own separate battles, with no regard for the 23-year-old at the center of it all. The word implies a lack of agency, a person being moved around a board by more powerful players for their own gain, and that's precisely the picture White painted.
Caitlin Clark kind of getting brought into that, Caitlin Clark responding to it. What has been your overall assessment of that dialogue and as it relates to your star player?
Yeah, I mean, I hate it all for Caitlin. I feel like, she's a 23-year-old kid who loves to play this game, who is a pawn in a lot of other people's games and a lot of other people's narratives, and I hate that for her. We're coming into a time in the WNBA where we're kind of part of the growing pains of becoming quote unquote mainstream professional sport is some of this stuff.
The truth is, every debate in the league now secretly revolves around Clark. When players demand higher salaries and charter flights, they're pointing to the massive revenue surge known as the Caitlin Clark effect. When the media discusses officiating, it's almost exclusively about the brutal uncalled fouls against her that go viral online. Her name has become a weapon that every side is using to advance their own agenda in a war she never even started. A conflict where she is both the prize and the primary target.
I do think that we are at a pivotal moment in terms of the league's history. And look, I was a part of the very first collective bargaining agreement of the WNBA where we wanted insurance all year long, to now where it is growing and players do deserve more. And leadership needs to reflect where we are as a league and also understand where we are as a league and where players' perspectives are coming from. And, we have coaches on the sidelines and Becky Hammond and myself, and of course Noelle Quinn, who was in Seattle, who played in this league.
And according to White, the burden of being a savior is becoming unbearable. At just 23 years old, Clark is carrying the weight of an entire league's political baggage. She endures physical beatings on the court and verbal attacks off of it, all while being expected to smile for the cameras and sell out arenas from coast to coast. White sees firsthand the toll it's taking on a player who just wants to play basketball, not become a political symbol in someone else's bitter fight for power and money. But this isn't just any coach talking. Stephanie White has been around the WNBA since its gritty beginnings. She played in the league when it was fighting for survival, when players were just happy to have a place to play. So when she speaks, her words carry the weight of someone who knows where all the bodies are buried. Her criticism isn't that of an outsider, it's a stark warning from within the system, from someone who has seen the league at its best and its worst. That's what made her next comment a direct shot, even without a name attached. White stated that the league's leadership needs to reflect where we are. It was the most professional way to say the people in charge are completely out of touch, running a booming enterprise like a high school athletic department. She didn't have to say Commissioner Cathy Engelbert's name for everyone to know exactly who she was targeting. The message was clear. The front office is stuck in the past, while the players are living in the future. And let's be honest, Engelbert has been in crisis mode for months. First came the bombshell report from Players Union President Nafisa Collier, who claimed Engelbert told players Clark should be grateful for the platform, a comment that reeked of corporate arrogance. Then came her robotic, tone-deaf PR statements that only angered players more. She has managed to unite both veteran players and new fans against her, creating the perfect storm for this public backlash. Her leadership has been defined by reaction, not proaction. But the physical war on the court is where this conflict became impossible to ignore. It started with subtle hard-nosed rookie treatment, but quickly escalated into something that looked far more sinister. The hip check from Chennedy Carter wasn't just a hard foul, it was a blindside hit away from the ball that looked intentionally malicious. The league's response? A one-game suspension for Carter only after a public outcry forced their hand. Then came Angel Reese's flagrant foul, followed by her smug press conference demeanor. These incidents weren't just basketball plays. They became national news, sparking debates on race, jealousy, and whether Clark was being unfairly targeted. This has fueled a toxic narrative of the old guard versus the new guard. Many believe there's a deep-seated jealousy among veteran players who fought for years in relative obscurity, only to see a rookie waltz in and receive all the credit, endorsements, and media attention overnight. They see the private jets and sold-out arenas as something they earned, yet Clark is reaping the benefits. While players publicly deny it, the on-court aggression and off-court comments suggest a power struggle. As one source put it, it's like what Michael Jordan and LeBron James faced. When someone changes the game, it creates fear and resentment. And this isn't a solo act of defiance against the league. Before White spoke out, Nafisa Collier delivered a powerful speech, accusing the commissioner of disrespect. Sophie Cunningham flat out called her the most delusional leader the league has ever seen. And all season, legendary coach Becky Hammon has been throwing subtle shade about the league's inconsistent officiating. A full-blown rebellion is brewing among the WNBA's most powerful and respected voices, and they're no longer afraid to speak out. Meanwhile, as a firestorm of controversy rages around her, Caitlin's own response has been masterfully diplomatic. When asked about the drama, she gave short, respectful answers that refused to add fuel to the fire. Her calculated silence only reinforces White's point. She's being used as a prop in a fight she desperately wants no part of. She is playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers, refusing to be pulled into the mud and tarnish her own brand. This reveals the league's stunning hypocrisy. They use Clark's face on every billboard and promo to sell tickets, but when controversy erupts like the targeted fouls, they go completely silent. It's only after days of relentless public outrage that they release a generic corporate-approved statement about player safety. They are shamelessly using her as a marketing tool and a scapegoat, all at the same time, reacting only when it looks bad publicly, not when it's the right thing to do. And the media machine is pouring gasoline on the fire. Every hard foul is replayed 1,000 times on ESPN. Every vague comment from another player is dissected by talking heads looking for a new angle on the Clark drama. Shows like First Take and The Pat McAfee Show have turned the WNBA's internal politics into daily soap opera content. This 24/7 news cycle has magnified the pressure immensely, taking a simmering league issue and turning it into a raging inferno that the commissioner's office seems utterly incapable of controlling. It's the curse of success. The WNBA finally has the global superstar they've been dreaming of for decades, but now they seem terrified of her power. The league is caught in a bizarre civil war, desperately trying to promote Clark's brand while simultaneously allowing a narrative to grow that she's an overrated product of media hype. They are cashing in on her fame while letting her be torn down, a strategy that is as confusing as it is self-destructive. A huge part of the problem stems from the top Commissioner Cathy Engelbert came from the corporate world. Having been the CEO of Deloitte, players and coaches feel she runs the league like a business, not a sport. Her decisions often seem driven by spreadsheets, sponsor satisfaction, and risk management, rather than a genuine understanding of the athletes or the game itself. This corporate disconnect is precisely why players feel unheard and disrespected. They feel like employees, not partners. This disconnect is fueling the deep-seated frustration that is now exploding into public view. It's no longer just about charter flights or salary caps. It's a fundamental clash of cultures. The players see themselves as the heart and soul of the league, the #1 asset, as White said, while they feel the front office sees them as interchangeable parts in a business machine. This isn't just about Caitlin Clark. It's about a league at war with its own identity. And let's be clear, this is a billion-dollar pond we're talking about. The Caitlin Clark effect isn't just a catchy phrase, it's a financial tsunami. TV ratings have tripled on some networks. The Indiana Fever are projected to generate revenue that dwarfs what entire teams made just a year ago. Merchandise sales have skyrocketed. This isn't just about basketball, it's about a massive, sudden influx of cash that has everyone scrambling for their piece of the pie. The stakes have never been higher, which is why the fighting is so vicious. So let's break down exactly how Clark is being used as a pawn. The league uses her image to secure bigger TV deals and attract new sponsors. Veteran players use her popularity as undeniable leverage in upcoming CBA negotiations. The media uses her name for guaranteed clicks and views, creating controversy where none exists. And even fans use her as a symbol to fight their own online culture wars. Everyone has an agenda, and Caitlin is stuck in the middle, a human being reduced to a strategic asset. Stephanie White's statement wasn't just a coach defending her player, it was a dire warning to the entire league. If the WNBA continues to treat its biggest star and most valuable financial asset as a disposable piece in a game, they won't just lose Clark, they'll lose the millions of new fans and the once-in-a-generation opportunity she represents. The next move is the league's, and it could define its future for decades to come. What do you think the WNBA should do next? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more.